Deployment and Scalability, Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010, Module 3, Deploying Services within a Farm. At the end of this module, you'll be able to describe Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010 Services infrastructure and describe how SharePoint Server 2010 Farm works. In Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010, services are no longer contained within a shared services provider SSP. Instead, the infrastructure for hosting services moves into SharePoint Foundation 2010, and the configuration of service offerings is much more flexible. Individual services can be configured independently, and third-party companies can add services to the platform. You have the option to deploy only the services that are needed to a farm, and services that are deployed are called service applications. Web applications can be configured to use only the services that are needed, rather than the entire set of services that are deployed, as shown in the screenshot here. You can only deploy multiple instances of the same service in a farm and assign unique names to the resulting services applications. You can share services across multiple web applications within the same farm. As noted, some services can be shared across server farms. Other services can be shared only within a single server farm. Services that support sharing across farms can be run in the central farm and consumed from regional locations. Each web application can be configured to use services from different farms. For example, you can share the user profile service across web applications in several server farms while using some services, such as the business data connectivity, locally. In large environments, computing-intensive services can be run in a central farm to minimize administration overhead and to scale out easily and effectively as requirements grow. Shown in the following example, all service applications in a farm are deployed to the same IIS website. There are two different groupings of service applications, the default group and the custom group. Service applications can be deployed to different application pools to achieve process isolation. However, farm performance is optimized if services are contained within one application pool. To achieve physical isolation of services, create separate instances of a service application and place them on different application pools. Service groups are used to manage service applications running in a SharePoint farm. Web applications by default use the default group or use a specific custom group as specified by the administrator. This allows you to control which service applications are available to particular web applications. Using service groups, you can isolate service applications from each other for security reasons and also distribute them across web servers or application servers within a farm or across other farms. This allows you to logically scale service groups based on your performance and security needs. By default, all service applications are included in the default group, unless you change the setting for service applications when it is created. You can add and remove service applications from the default group at any time. When you create a web application, you can select a default group or you can create a custom group of services. You create a custom group of services by selecting only the service applications that you want the web application to use. Custom groups are not reusable across multiple web applications. Each time you select custom, when you're creating a web application, you are selecting services only for the web application you are creating. You can deploy service applications within the farm by one of the following methods: selecting services while running the initial configuration wizard, adding services one by one on the Manage Service Applications page in Central Administration site, or by using Windows PowerShell. In Windows PowerShell, these connections are called proxies. The term proxy also appears at the end of the type description for connectors on the Managed Service Applications page in Central Administration. Connections for services in the local farm are not created by the administrator, but these appear along with the list of service applications in the Central Administration. Some connections might include settings that can be modified. For example, if a web application is connected to multiple instances of a managed metadata service, you must indicate which of the connections it is connected to the primary service application, which hosts the corporate taxonomy. Single farm, single service group. Services are managed directly in the central administration rather than on a separate administration site. Services can be monitored and managed remotely, and services can be managed and scripted by the Windows PowerShell. Remote farms do not need direct permissions to the parent farm's configuration or services database. Shown here is a summary of the service applications where the data is stored, if they are cross-farm or not, are they part of SharePoint Foundation 2010, SharePoint Server 2010 Standard, or SharePoint Server 2010 Enterprise. Shown here are additional services provided by other Microsoft products. Shown here is a single farm, single service group. The default group of services is used for all web applications in the farm. All sites have access to all services applications that are deployed in the farm. The advantage over this is it has the simplest architecture. All services are available to all web applications. It is the most efficient use of farm resources, and all services are managed centrally. The main disadvantage is that it does not allow for isolation of service data, and individual departments or groups cannot manage service applications on their own. A single farm, single service group is the recommended configuration for most companies, at least initially. This configuration works well for hosting a large number of sites for a single company on the same farm. You should use this configuration if you want to optimize the resources required to run services within a farm, or you are sharing content and profile data across sites that otherwise require process isolation for performance or security reasons. Single farm, multiple service groups. Targeted service applications are deployed for dedicated use by one or more groups within an organization. For example, in the farm shown here, additional instance of Excel services is deployed for the finance group. Access services is also deployed for this group. One or more web applications are created using a custom group of services. The SharePoint administrator selects the service applications that are included in the custom group. In the farm shown here, the custom group includes 2 dedicated service applications as well as most of the services that are deployed to the farm. More than one custom group can be created at any one time. In some cases, a dedicated group of services is configured to narrow the list of services that are used by a web application. For example, a partner collaboration site can be configured to consume a subset of services that are offered by the farm. The farm shown here achieves process isolation for services that are deployed for the finance group by placing these services in a dedicated application pool. Single farm overlapping multiple service groups. In the farm shown here, dedicated service applications for the business data connectivity and the managed metadata service are deployed to the farm for use by HR department. resulting in a second custom group, in addition to the dedicated service groups and group that are created for the finance group. The farm shown earlier achieved process isolation for services that were deployed for the finance group by placing these services in a dedicated application pool. The farm shown here uses one application pool for all services, and consequently optimizes the deployment of services for performance instead. Notice that the service groups overlap. A service application can be a member of more than one service group, allowing it to be used by multiple web applications. Thus, the same service application can be used by different web applications in different application pools, allowing you to not only control which web application can access a particular service application, but also enables you to be more efficient with your resources. The advantages of having multiple service groups are: accommodates multiple organization goals on the same farm, service data can be isolated, allows individual teams or departments to manage services that are dedicated to their groups, and sites can be configured to use a subset of services. This configuration works well for companies with divisions or teams that require dedicated services or isolated service data, or for sites that are set up with a narrow scope, such as a partner collaboration site. Configuring multiple groups of services allows teams and sites to consume services that are offered enterprise-wide, such as a profile or search services, while at the same time isolating the use of the targeted services for security or performance reasons. The main disadvantage of using multiple service groups is that it is more complex to configure and manage, and farm resources support multiple instances of some services. Managing Service Applications page. A service connection or proxy in Windows PowerShell is the logical element that connects a web application to a specific instance of a service. Administrators do not need to create or manage these, except on a child farm which consumes the service application from a parent farm. Some connections have settings that can be configured by administrators, for example, the Business Data Connectivity connection. To access the Service Application Associations page, go to the Central Administration page, click on Application Management, and then select Configure Service Application Associations. Click a web application to edit the services within a group, or to select the default group of service applications. Or click a service group or a proxy group to edit the services associated with that group. The service group assignment is either the default group or a custom group. Custom service groups are not reusable across multiple web applications. If you select custom, you are creating a new set of associations for the web application. In this module, you have learned to describe Microsoft SharePoint Server 2010 Services infrastructure and describe how a SharePoint Server 2010 farm works.